Welcome to the TRBusiness video channel. We are here this afternoon with Delhi Duty Free Services CEO Philip Eckles. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and join us.
My pleasure.
Just wanted to first of all congratulate you on your wonderful new stores you have at the airport. And what are your reflections of the actual project, maybe from its outset to what you have now? Such a fantastic new showcase there.
Well, I guess I kind of had it easy because I've been with Delhi Duty Free Services actually exactly a year today. So I came in towards the tail end of the project. The arrivals had already been completed. But within the first month, we managed to get the first phase of the departure store open, and then we quickly moved into phase 2 and got the whole project completed, or the whole project open, in mid-April. It had taken a long time to bring to fruition, to be honest with you, probably more time than we would have liked. But as you rightly observed, the end result has been absolutely fantastic. We're delighted with the way it turned out. We got some fantastic feedback from all our vendor partners as well, who have actually taken some of the videos that we've shot and used those internally within their own organisations to be able to share the Delhi Duty Free experience. But most importantly, of course, the passengers are receiving well, and sales are flying at the moment. And that's really, it's during a time where, of course, Delhi has had some difficulty with passenger numbers, particularly with the collapse of Jet Airways earlier in the year and the India-Pakistan airspace issues. So we're absolutely delighted with the results. And both stores are performing ahead of expectation, particularly the arrival store. The arrival store is absolutely fantastic. And of course, that's now turned full circle back in June. The arrival store, the departure store is still got a way to go to get to its full 1 year, but both are performing fantastically.
And obviously, from the time you've been there, it's challenging. There are challenges. How did you? It must have been some really challenging parts. How challenging was it overall?
Yeah, I mean, doing any store redevelopment is challenging, particularly in a live environment, and we were affecting the passenger flows through the terminal building and trying to rebuild a store within the existing footprint. It wasn't green space for us. It was effectively a brownfield site. So trying to maintain the sales in what's a relatively small amount of space. And I think in arrivals we were about 1,500 metres and about 2,500 in departures. So trying to maintain the level of sales that we actually do put through in Delhi was always going to be the challenge. But there's always this kind of perverse phenomenon that happens when you're redeveloping stores, that you make the space smaller. There's a bit of activity going because of the refurbishment work, and passengers actually find that interesting and stop. And so we didn't see a huge dip in sales, and because of the growth in Delhi air traffic anyway, up to the point of the Jet Airways problem, we managed to grow sales continually through the entire period.
And just elaborating a little bit more on the performance now, since it's all gone live and everything, you mentioned the feedback. In terms of the numbers, everything's matching up, everything's on target?
Yeah, I mean, last year, our year ending in March, we had high double-digit growth, 22% growth against a 7% passenger growth. This year so far, as I mentioned, Jet Airways demise hit us hard. There was 13% of our traffic, but we've still got double-digit growth this year as well. So with that as a backdrop, it's going really well. Passenger numbers are beginning to bounce back now as well. So September's been a great month for us. As we move into October, which of course in India is Diwali month, we are looking for a bumper holiday season, straight through into November, and then we've got the Christmas period, and then Delhi's holiday period in January. So the next few months for us are going to be really exciting, and we're expecting great things.
I mean, I know that the transformation is massive, but in comparison with the old stores, how vital was it? How much did it need? This renovation.
It does. I mean, the shops were. I mean, we've been in business now for 10 years next year, so. The shops had a bit of work done to them to keep them up to date over the years, but really it was looking a bit tired, and there was a lot of change that needed to be done to reflect the changes in buying habits of Indian passengers, and particularly in Delhi. I mean, the move towards higher end, more luxury products, particularly in the liquor category, was important to be reflected in the shop. So yeah, like anything else, it was we started it was probably about 8 years old, so we just needed to upgrade it and with the help of the airport company, of course, the airport company are a major shareholder in Delhi Duty Free, and with the support of our chairman, we were able to create this walk-through store, this 100% walk-through store, which was a challenge, as I said, given the fact that the airport was 10 million passengers going through departures and arrivals every year, was a particularly challenging proposition, but we succeeded. We did it.
And what about from a design perspective? What are the biggest changes? Would you say?
The more sort of single store. We talked about this walkthrough. Previously, passengers had to walk through the passenger walkway. The stores were on either side, so we weren't that far away from a single walk-through store. But it was very defined. You had to walk into each store, one on the left and one on the right. Now, when you walk into the retail environment, you feel like you're in one single space. Having just come through immigration and security as well, the decompression area is quite small, so people tend to stop when they get to our store. Our dwell times are pretty good, and people are using that time to relax and unwind and start spending some money on their favourite product.
Great. And obviously you've got the arrivals is now complete, departures is complete. What is the next prime objectives for you?
Make them work. Make sure that we get the revenues that we expect from them. There are 2 small stores that we're just finishing off at the current time. There's a pier store, a pier junction store where the terminal splits, and we have a small pier store as well. So we're just completing those off this month. We're also upgrading our shop and collect facility. 10% of our sales are through shop and collect purchases. So we're upgrading that facility to make sure that it can cope with the volume that it's actually putting through in that. And then we're also looking at additional space in the airport as well. So. Oh, wow. Anything to try and build the turnover.
And I guess digital is that you're doing your bit to tap into the digital revolution. How are you doing that?
Our marketing team with Abhijit are very attuned to digital marketing and particularly social media. So we do an awful lot around the social media and in-store digital installations that we have. I can't remember the number that we increased, but it's a significant amount of installations that we have in what's a relatively small space. As I said, we only have about 4,000 square metres in total. So the turnover we're doing, it's actually quite a small space.
And what about the partnership with Dial? I guess it's a fluid. It's got to be like a fluid partnership to create what you have there. What are your impressions of how you work with them?
Yeah, the partnership is obviously is fantastic and very strong. As I mentioned earlier, Dial as an airport company own 50% of Delhi Duty Free Services, so they have a vested interest in making sure that we're successful. They're very supportive in the initiatives that we try to do. Cognizant as well of being an airport and trying to run an efficient transport infrastructure operation so that passengers actually are able to progress through the terminal building effectively, but understand of course that duty-free revenues and commercial revenues in general are an important part of their earnings stream.
And speaking of important elements, I know from coming to India and speaking to staff, is you guys have a very place a strong emphasis on staff training. Can you just talk me through that?
Yeah, we do. We have a large workforce. Somebody commented to me the other day, they're comparing us with another location in terms of our staffing ratios, and we have a lot of retail staff. So in total, we've got about 1,100 people in the organisation. It's only pushing 1,200 now, and just over 1,000 of those are actually based in the retail environment. A very highly educated workforce. I think 99.9% of the people we have working for us in the retail environment are educated to a degree standard, and then we have our own training programs as well. Once people get into our environment, starting off with the induction programs that we do, but also product knowledge and skills and selling skills training programs. We have a retail academy that we deploy as well, and of course, most importantly, we actually have a huge amount of vendor partner training to make sure that our staff are trained on the products that they're selling. It's always simple to say that people need to know what it is they're selling, but it's the intricacies of the product. It's not a simple product we're selling. People need to know in depth, have in-depth knowledge of those products.
And just the final one, how big a task was it to drive you drive like average passenger spend? I think you managed to do it double digit last year, and to achieve double digit growth in average transaction value. How big a task was that, and how it must be very satisfying to do that?
Absolutely it is, and we talk about passenger average spend or SPP, whatever acronym you're putting onto it, but it's actually about pushing the number of transactions you do, penetration rates, and pushing transaction values. We've been good at pushing transaction values, but the biggest bang for your buck is always going to be about getting more people into your shop, and the open walk-through environment that we have has really helped do that. So our overall capture rates have increased, as you mentioned, simply double-digit growth this year. I'm not going to share the numbers, but it's been fantastic. We're hitting all the KPIs that we thought we'd hit, and we actually do believe there's a lot more growth to come from what we've done.
Excellent. And the final one for me, just in the departures and arrivals stores, is purchasing patterns. Is it kind of in terms from a product and brand perspective? Has there been any surprises? Is it really everything what you'd expect?
I suppose the biggest surprise in arrivals is how liquor continues to grow, particularly the whiskey category, but part of the project, one of the key aims of the project was to actually increase the P&C, the luxury beauty areas that we have. So the new brands that we put into the arrival store, and the 14 new brands we put into departures, are all performing really well and above and ahead of expectations. And obviously, being here in Cairns this week, lots of brand partners saying, we've got these fantastic brands. You should be looking at this, should be looking at that. As I said before, we've only got 4,500 or 4,000 square meters, so space is tight for us. But we are working with the airport company to try and secure more space so that we can get more brands into the Delhi and India environment.
Is there anything you can say about this new space? You've mentioned a couple of times that there's new space. Is it not finalised yet, or do you have any?
No, it's not, and it's not guaranteed either. And obviously, as I said, in terms of space, if we can get more, we could use it. And I honestly believe we would be able to continue to build and develop the duty-free offering even more. But we have a very tight contract with the airport company, and it's a very compliant environment. So we need to make sure that any additional space we do get is in line with our current lease agreement with the airport company.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.